So okay, so now without wasting time, we'll start the Q&A. I'll as a moderator, I'll ask the questions. Request any of the speakers, Preeti, Chandan, and I'll also onboard Swati from this point onwards. Swati, if you feel you have a very quick answer on any of the questions, feel free to sort of add to this as a co-author of the book. Okay. So, but requesting the speakers in the interest of time to keep the answers to one-liners so that the webinar can be wrapped up in time. First question I'll answer: will the recorded webinar be available on YouTube for later reference? Yes, the webinar will be available. Just follow our channels. My team, COMPLINITY team, please post the links once more in the chat box and subscribe to all our channels. I would say, and you will keep getting notifications on several resources published. Okay, whether demat rules apply to private company which is subsidiary of a public company? Sujata says that.
Yes.
Yes.
Understand. Can we transfer shares by physical way before September 2024?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. These one word answers are quite good. And by the way, the readers, if you want, I mean, not that the speakers will not say more, but something which is very clear, they will answer yes or no. And if you want to know the why, etc., of course, the book will have all these FAQs and commentaries. That also you may refer. Okay. Now, Sudhit Mathur says whether demat provisions in articles is mandatory. Second, procedure for issue of duplicate share certificate in case shares are lost or misplaced.
So let me take this up. Whether demat provisions in AO is mandatory, it is recommended to have it. No, the law does not mandate this, but it is recommended because as of now, the articles would contain provisions relating to physical shares. It's important for you to now get this included, the provisions related to shares in dematerialized form. Procedure for issue duplicate share certificates, request letter from the shareholder along with an FIR, an affidavit. Then the board will approve the issuance of duplicate share certificates.
Right. Okay. Next is if there is an NBFC which falls under the category of a small company, but small companies are exempted in this notification, adding to it the definition of small company, a company which is registered so and so, so and so. So my question is whether NBFC will be considered as a small company or NBFC is a special act, so NBFC these provisions will apply.
Okay, I'll take this again. So NBFC is not governed by any special act. It is regulated by a special act. So it's not a special act company per se. It's a company formed under the Companies Act. And therefore, if it is small company, it will not be required to follow the requirements here. It will be considered as a small company then.
How Ashwini says how the demat of securities will be impacted for private companies who have issued shares long back and have not paid stamp duty, whether this needs to be regularized now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Is there, if there is no issue, so just so that if I understand that question properly, so Ashwini was asking that if a private company had not paid stamp duty on the physical certificates and now they are dematerializing, they will have to they will have to pay the stamp duty now fresh on demand, right?
Yes, it is advisable to move the application because once you get your share securities converted into demat, you need to cancel your share certificates. So how will you apply for the stamp duty for the previous months? So better you go ahead with that.
But if the stamp duty was duly paid on the certificate, then again the stamp duty, of course, does not need to be paid on the demat.
Exactly.
No.
Right. Okay. If there is no Swati Saxena, if there is no issuance or transfer in this year, still I have to get the conversion done before 30th September.
Yes. So the rule says that we have to convert the shares of the promoters, directors, KMPs from before 30th September, even though there were no transfer. So in future, if you will transfer an issue, then it has to be in demat form. So from 30th till 30th September, the company's liability is to convert the shares of promoters, KMP, and directors in demat form.
Understand. Akanksha says if you are not going to transfer or issue security, then in case obtaining ICSI would suffice the purpose.
Yes.
Right.
Because I think the law is clear. It says for issuance, you have to issue your securities in demat form and you have to facilitate dematerialization of shares.
Understand. Shikhar says the companies which are either holding or subsidiary company will not be considered as small companies. Accordingly, they are also required to dematerialize their shares.
Yes.
Yes.
If Nidhi says, if a company is a subsidiary of a private company or trust, is it required to file PAS 6?
So if
If it has obtained ISIN, so then the company is required to file PAS 6.
So to add on this, if your shares are in demat, not only ISIN, your shares are converted into demat as on that half year ended date, 30th September and then 31st March, then you have to file PAS 6.
Okay, Jitendra says, I think this is a very common query which I am also getting. Jitendra says, PAS 6 shall be filed for March 24, still we are not dematerialized.
Once
He's saying we have not dematerialized. So if shares are dematerialized, then we have to
Then
file
yes.
for this year. So that's a view that so that's something where clarity is not there. However, we suggest that we should file this form, that today is the last date of this form. If your shares are in demat, not only ISIN, the shares are in demat.
Yeah, but if the shares are in demat, even though the last date to demat those shares was 30th September, still you file form PAS 6.
recommended.
Yes.
It is
However, if the shares are not in demat today, you still have time to get it done, so PAS 6 is not required.
Right.
Okay, Taruni says, can you please clarify on whether reconciliation of share capital audit will also apply to a private company? Yes, I think that's what PAS 6 is all
PAS 6 is that only. Yeah.
6 is that only, but there is one audit that for that listed company, the regulation is different.
Right. What are the other compliances apart from PAS 6 to be ensured dealing with depository and saving? I think for that you must refer the book. There are a huge lot of compliances,
Yes.
detailed compliances. So look at the book. It will give you a lot of answers. Priyanka says, is financial year 23, March 23, the first year to check criteria?
Yes.
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 Dipanjan says, how do company with foreign shareholders? Is this applicable for small company with foreign shareholding company?
For small company, it is not applicable. For other companies, even having foreign shareholder, it is applicable.
Yeah, so Chandan, you were sharing some details on how foreign shareholders can obtain. So any comment on that?
See, the foreign shareholders, while opening demat accounts, they are directors and they are promoters, etc. The KYC for of directors, KMPs, or the ultimate beneficial owners are also required. So at times the companies are not pretty comfortable sharing their details, their ID, address, etc. So that was a challenge while opening of demat account.
Yeah.
Priyanka says, if a company has holding subsidiary structure and subsidiary crosses a turnover limit, then holding company is also required to go with demat.
So there is no turnover in this, so that the applicabilities comes on from all the private companies other than small companies. So if it's a holding subsidiary, in any case, it is not a small company, so it's applicable.
The question was holding cannot be a small company even if it's below within the thresholds of small company.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Holding will not be a small company.
yes. It's not. It's exemption to small company.
Okay.
Or proviso to small company. The correct word.
Ashwini says estimated cost involved in demat of securities one-time electing. I think Chandan answered that in his presentation.
It has
So
been shared already.
you
Yeah.
can again look at the webinar Ashwini recording and you will get the slide on that. Given NSDL is taking 3 to 6 months time to process the application, is the timeline of 30th September expected to be increased? It's anybody's guess.
I think we should be doing our bit rather than waiting for an extension of time. So let's go ahead and file for ISINs. If NSDL, CDSL are taking time, it's on MCA to review this.
Yeah, and I must add that at eMinds Legal, Preeti, Chandan, Swati, and the entire team is working on ISIN creation for a lot of clients, Indian and multinationals. So if you want any professional help, please, or any non other than that assistance or queries, please feel free to reach out to them.
So that depends on the your particular case also, Sumit, the criticality, etc. Very recently, we obtained ISIN in 15 days time
15
also. So depends.
Understand. Okay, is it mandatory to get ISIN before 30th September or to do demat as well? Is only ISIN or to do demat as well?
So ISIN is mandatory, then demat of your directors, KMP, and promoters holding is mandatory.
That is
Rest,
mandatory, yeah, but that is mandatory in case you want to go for further issuance or buyback
Yes.
or any of the event. Otherwise, only ISIN is mandatory as a.
ICSI is mandatory, and in her question, she's saying that suppose we go ahead for an issue on 29th of September, nobody stops you from doing it, but the entire process, any which way is you're doing it on the last day. So avoid that if possible.
Yeah, means
But in that case also,
anytime the transfer, in my opinion, anytime the new issue of shares or the transfer or buyback or such corporate actions they come, then you may not have the time of 1 month, 1.5 months to do these procedures.
Right.
So at least to be ready for that, so that whenever the corporate action comes, you can execute it seamlessly. Amita says, please confirm if an Indian company's wholly owned subsidiary is located outside India is required to dematerialize its shares as well.
no.
No.
The law is applicable for Indian companies, not the companies incorporated outside India.
Perfect. Akanksha says, what if a foreign shareholder is not having a PAN card in India?
You
I
have
have
to
to
apply.
come first.
You'll have to apply for it, yeah.
So PAN is mandatory for demat. Holding of PAN is mandatory.
Aman says, does the shareholders need to submit share transfer forms as well together with the share certificates to the DP?
No.
They submit share
No.
certificates, not
It's a
transfer.
DRF form, right? Not the share transfer form.
Yeah.
Right. Suresh says, your slide says that shares have to be dematted if the paid up capital is more than 4 crores and turnover is more than 40 crores. But the circular issued by MCA says paid up capital is more than 4 crores or turnover is more than 40 crores. If the paid up capital is more than 4 crores but the turnover is less than 40 crores, is it still required to get the shares? I think it's a small company, right?
Yes, the definition of small
The
company.
the circular doesn't say 4 crore, 40 crore, but it does say small company.
Small company which is
So
less
small
than
companies are exempted, other than small companies have to apply. It's very simple. Shika, if the company has obtained the ISIN but facing difficulty in opening demat account of the shareholder, will it be considered as a non-compliant by the company?
So until and unless you are not,
until you come out with any request for transfer or you're coming out with any further issue. Till that time, there is no non-compliance.
Because the other things you can't do until those demat accounts have been opened and shares have been dematerialized.
yes.
Asta says how to open demat account in case of a registered shareholder and beneficial ownership is with someone else.
So we have to open share demat account for both the shareholders. So even the nominee shareholder holding one share is required to convert the shares into demat mode.
Does register member is required to be maintained in physical form?
No, it will
So
be
it's
the
the BenPos that gets given. So
Yeah.
BenPos serves as the register of members.
Does demat of securities affect the right of transferability of shares as in private company? They are not freely transferable, and with demat has no hold on that. That's a very good question. Good question. Yes, if somebody would like to answer.
Yeah, I think Chandan, you have already discussed.
I have mentioned about that. Private companies have a right to restrict the transfer. So these days, RTAs as their process is are at the back end asking for approval from the authorized signatories. However, there is no defined process. They have built it in their processes. So to avoid any misses around that, companies may go ahead with the freezing of their ISIN so that transfer does not happen without company approving the transfer. So company will have to first unfreeze or defreeze the account, the ISIN, and then only transfer can happen. This way, companies can restrict the transfers.
Right. So freezing is an important tool for private companies.
Yeah.
Nikita says, is it mandatory to deutilize shares before 30th September or getting ISIN or ISIN is mandatory? I think we've answered this question.
Yes.
Already answered.
Vinay says, if a private company already has its shares in demat form, does it require to file PAS6 for the half year ended March 24? I think Swati again answered that it's a gray area, but the err on the side of caution and do file it, right, Swati?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Does article need to be revised relating to provisions of issuance of share certificates?
We have discussed this earlier, yes.
So it is
recommended.
recommended.
Is it compulsory to get the shares dematerialized with NSDL and CDSL? Both?
Either of them.
Either of them. But you can't have both, right? It can be either, it can't be both, right?
Can be both also. It can be both also. Yeah.
Right. So either or both. So if it is both, then half, if the shareholders have demat accounts with a depository participant, which is NSDL or CDSL, then you may have to go with both. So
Right.
the
Yes,
reconciliation
exactly.
will be NSDL plus CDSL plus physical, that will be the reconciliation.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Ishwarya says there is a nominee shareholder which is foreign body corporate holding one share on behalf of the holding company. Under what category demat account to be opened for nominee shareholder and how it will be reflected in BenPos?
So the account holding would be same, but this detail has to be submitted at the time of conversion of shares into demat.
That company is holding as a nominee.
Yes. Generally, it's mentioned on the share certificate which you will surrender.
So it mentions nominee of this shareholder. So demat account number is linked to that.
Right. Okay, so we are although overshooting the time, but there are still few questions left, and many participants still attending the show. And I know that after this session, they will go and have their sumptuous lunch. So it is we standing between the lunch and the participants. But as you are so interested, and as I can see you in the huge numbers, we'll take 10 more minutes maximum, and we'll wrap up surely by 1:45. Are the speakers okay with that to answer a few more questions?
Yes, yes, we are.
All right. So consent is taken. Audience, please stay back. Speakers are consented. I'll also very quickly do a rapid fire. Maybe your question is next. So Jyoti says, if a company hold license but there are two shareholders not converted in the share into demat, will that work?
Yes.
Right.
Unless that corporate action thing happens again.
Right. For small company exemption, what does paid up capital mean? Paid up is equal to equity alone or paid up is equity plus preference?
Equity plus
That's
preference.
right.
Avinash says if there are three private companies, one is holding and another two are subsidiary, and all the companies are small companies, then do they need to legalize?
Also, small company, as we discussed, if it's a holding or another subsidiary, then it's not a small company.
Not a small company anymore. So 4 crore, 40 crore, let it be under that. But if it's a holding or a subsidiary of any company, then it no more remains a small company under the definition.
Yes.
So it will have to then come back. Great. In fact, Swati, some of the questions which we find interesting, you should and they are good questions. You should add it in the next edition of our book. Next year, corporate law referencer. Yes.
Noted.
Shika, for the purpose of obtaining ISIN, can we process the application without alteration of articles?
Yes, generally, the ISIN applications are, routed without this, and we are even getting approval without any alteration to it because the RTAs and the NSDL is not saying that. However, we recommend it because the article should empower the board to accept those things. That's why it is recommended. While ISIN creation, there is no issues in getting it done.
Right. Nitin says PAS6 is to be filed where? Is it MC only, right? Isn't it? PAS6.
MC. Right.
Yes,
Yes,
PAS6 is with ROC, MCA.
ROC, MCA, right. Mahalakshmi says, in how many days can we be able to complete the process if documents are already prepared? We assume she might be asking for ISIN.
For ISIN, it's like, if everything is given, it will take, 3 to 4 weeks time, unless, you have any complications or any resubmissions from the authority.
That's the ideal timeline, but yeah, it may extend. However, if your documents are complete, you can try.
Yeah. Priyanka says, what is the impact of this rule on ESOP? Let me answer that. If ESOPs are only options, this rule is not applicable. If ESOP are exercised and they converted to shares, they are like any other normal shares, and this rule will apply. Okay. Anonymous, we are the Taiwanese company having Taiwanese companies as shareholders. Our share capital was 3.9 crores as on March 23, and in March 24 another 1.6 crore was increased. Till when do we have to dematerialize the shares? It's an interesting question. Preeti, would you like to answer?
The timelines are 18 months, and March 24, your capital, your capital has increased and you do no longer remain a small company. So timelines will start from 31st March 2024, 18 months time.
So September 25 is your deadline.
September 25,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. Manish says small company has holding company as one of the shareholder, holding company as an ISIN. Is a small company also again, Swati has answered. If you are holding or a subsidiary of a small, still you are not means of any company, you are not a small company. So things will apply. Sangamitra, whether a private company without any transactions by September 24 will be required to demutualize. We have answered this question. So if there are any corporate actions, then these will apply. OCDs are also needed to be in demat. Optionally convertible debentures.
Yes. All kinds of securities are required.
Securities. And by the way, I'm sure it was mentioned in the presentation that every security needs to have a separate ISIN. So just to reiterate, if it's CCPS or OCD or CCD or equity, or even if it's CCPS Series A, Series B, Chandan, if it is different series as in startups nowadays, so every series will be a different class, right?
Yes, every series is a different class. Within the same series also there are different classes as so far as ISIN is concerned, depending upon the maturity dates.
Right, perfect. Ankit says whether private company needs to take different ISINs for preference shares. So yeah, we've just answered that. So every different security is different ISIN. Please present slide 6. There's okay, so this don't know what's that. Articles we've already covered. If there are joint shareholders, should we need to open demat accounts of shareholders in joint name? Yes.
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 So both has to sign their that demat application form.
Not only jointly, but in the same sequence, first holder, second holder.
Yes, yes.
If a private company was subsidiary on and ceases to be a subsidiary as on date, then it was a subsidiary as on 31st March 23 and ceases to be subsidiary as on today, then will the demat provisions apply?
So if it was a subsidiary as on 31st September, anyways, it was not a small company, so the provisions shall apply.
No, so in a way, the question is that at that time it was not, but now it may be a small company. Let's assume that in the query. That as on 31st March 23, it was not a small company because it was a subsidiary. Today, it has ceased to be the subsidiary, but it may be a small company today. So, will this apply or not? It's a good
So
question.
this shall apply because you'll check the status as of 31st March 2023.
23, yeah. Unfortunately, the law says that, so generally it will apply. Fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, it is good only. Okay. Oh, Nagesh says, what is the cost of the book, both the volumes? Thank you, Nagesh, for asking this question. At least somebody is interested in the book. Oh no, there are more now questions on the book. So the name of the book is Corporate Law Referencer. I will again display it here or show it here. Corporate Law Referencer. It's the only name, which is trademarked also because it's a unique name. It has acquired distinctiveness over the last 10 years. Sold thousands and thousands of copies. To all the good readers like yours. It is available all over India with all the bookshops on Amazon, and we will also share links of our website where you can order this online with some special discount for this webinar. All right. So the cost. Sorry, the answer is cost. Cost of the book publisher doesn't tell us properly. It is 4050, 4050 rupees only. But of course, you'll get some trade discounts normally, like we get when we buy the books. But it's a collector's edition. Believe you me, just like anybody who uses Times of India as a newspaper or Hindustan Times, we are addicted to those and we can't change it. If you start reading this book, the guarantee of the challenge is you can't move to any other book. That's the challenge. So take this challenge and let me know whether I'm right or not.
I just
Yes.
want to add, so the publisher is running an early bird offer as well, that they are offering this book. If we order today, tomorrow, it will be worth 3,000 rupees.
Right.
Rest, our prices will be released soon as well.
Perfect. So just Google this corporate law referencer. You'll surely find it, or ask your booksellers or shops or whatever. I'm sure you'll find us somewhere. Priyanka says, will this rule ease the cap table status? Since everything is in process, is there any rule which says BP shares a cap table to the company? I didn't get the question properly although. Question is not very clear, so we'll skip it for the timing. Priyanka, you can reach out to the speakers separately. Preeti, can you share the contact slide once more, for everyone to note the credentials in case someone wants to reach out to eMinds Legal for any queries or any professional assistance with regard to this topic. In the meantime, I'll continue. Vivek Sundaryal says, do we need to dematerialize mortgage debt certificate? Chandan?
Yeah, sorry, I went to that.
Mortgage debt certificate. What is that mortgage debt?
That certificate, so we need to check if that covers within the definition of security as per SCRA. If yes, then this will be required.
Company limited by guarantee, will they be covered by Rule 9B?
No, the shares are required to be in dematerialized form. If the company is only limited by guarantee, then it is not required.
Then there are no shares only. So,
yeah.
Right. And can we dematerialize lost share certificate? Yes, I think you have to first apply for a duplicate and then go for a demat.
Yes.
Can demat securities be pledged for obtaining a loan? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Do you have offices in Chennai? Srinivasan asks. No, eMinds doesn't have an office in Chennai, but they do have clients in Chennai. So, right now everything is virtual. So, do reach out to eMinds Legal. I'm sure they'll give you good services in Chennai also. Foreign company and foreign individual need to have a bank account in India for demat of shares?
Not necessarily. If you go with the a DP, which is a bank, they will ask you to open a bank account. Otherwise, DPs like SHCIL and Orbis, etc., which I referred in my slides also, they don't require your bank account in India.
Then I think the user, if want to ask, they need to have a mandatory bank account for a foreign shareholder. So that foreign shareholder need to have a bank account either in India or in their native country.
Yeah, it's not mandatory to have a bank account in India, but it needs to have a bank account.
So if they do not have account in India, the DP might ask for a additional declaration and details of the account held in out of the India, whatever their location is.
Right. Okay, so Krishnan says, please incorporate answers to the FAQs in the PPT to be shared. So what we can do, although the answers were told, or to be shared by the speaker, there are a few more questions left still, and the questions are even increasing and keep on coming. And I see the participation also wonderful at 1:45 p.m., 15 minutes after the designated time. So what we can do to the audience is, if I may request eMinds Legal, Preeti, Chandan, Swati, and the other eMinds Legal team to prepare a document, covering the questions which have been answered today, also covering the questions which have not been answered, and also the answers to the questions, Chandan, which were there in your slides. If you can prepare a beautiful document, I'm sure it will help the audience today. It will help the industry overall. It will help the professionals, and it will come out to be a beautiful docket. So, and that can be uploaded on our sites, and that can be shared on social media. So, friends, do share all the social. Do link up with us, COMPLINITY. Do link up with COMPLINITY on any of the social media, any or all of the social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, etc. I would say at the bare minimum, YouTube and LinkedIn, they are serious mediums for us, where we upload all the recordings on YouTube and share the blogs and articles and links to those videos also on LinkedIn. And you can also subscribe to our email updates on the website complinity.com. Subscribe to Spotify if you would like to hear this in a podcast format when you are coming from Delhi to Gurgaon or wherever you are from in India. On your drive, you can also listen to this webinar if required.
Welcome to COMPLINITY Technologies. COMPLINITY is India's leading governance, risk and compliance software helping companies to manage their compliance, contracts, litigation, legal updates, inter-financial controls and more. COMPLINITY is a one-stop shop for all GRC needs. With our proprietary 12 GRC modules and real-time legal updates on 2,000 plus laws and 24,000 plus compliances, all in an integrated platform that is easy to use with automated alerts and risk management capabilities, is why compliance managers, general counsels and chief financial officers choose COMPLINITY every time. Join the most innovative and prestigious brands that use COMPLINITY. Automating your compliance management. Request a demo at complinity.com.